Welcome to, well, week six. I guess this is the recording for week six. It's uh, it's May the 4th right now, so we're closing out pretty quickly. Uh, I guess it's Saturday here, so Monday, which will be what, June something. Uh, if it's May the 4th now, it's going to be Saturday. I guess it'll be June the 2nd. Anyway, it'll be the fifth week, and so you'll be doing your final exam. Not sure what I wrote about that, but I think there's some things I wanted you to midterm. Let's see, we midterm review, read before uh, entering the exam. Let me get over here and put this on week 5. Read before entering the exam. I think I got a bunch of stuff in there. I got information about what's going to be on the exam. I don't think I believe it's a multiple choice, pretty sure, and 30 questions, maybe not even that many, but it's nothing you haven't seen before. I don't know how many essays versus multiple choice questions there are. I know there's some of both. So read this. For some reason, I've got a lot of exclamation points out there, so uh, I'm not sure. Let's just see what I might have put in there. Week 5 is entirely devoted to the midterm examination. Oh, here, I just gave you some, terms in section 13. Down here, I got these tests here. It tells you where to go find answers. So that's why I said I wanted you to read this before you entered the midterm exam, because it's proctored, and I think once you get in, you can't get out and go back in. So these are some have to do with questions uh, that are on the exam, and I think some of these are on another assignment. But at any rate, I wanted you to have a little leg up, let's say, before you started that examination. So I just kind of put this together for you to let you know where to focus and where the exam is. Okay, enough of that. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Uh, when you get through with this, and I know we don't, you, when you when you see the video, if you will have done the exam. I don't know, that was crazy, but anyway, uh, this is week 6 is about the rule itself, the 1926 subpart P. And I broke it down into, let's see, let's look at week 6 overview, uh, into the three uh, sections. I've been trying to learn what the little things in parentheses were versus what's a paragraph, what's a section, what's a topic, and I just can't get there yet. I'm getting better, but I've spent a lot of time on trying to navigate OSHA and understand when they say section or paragraph, what do they mean? Well, I'm just not there yet, but I've got what I want to talk about pretty much highlighted, and so maybe that'll help us. But you can see this 650 is the definitions mostly, and why they have it. That's on you. You need to know all these definitions. I don't know if that means memorize them, but define a trench, difference in shielding and shoring, and how they talk about different things. So spend some time on that uh, if you haven't. Uh, 651, those are the specific requirements for protective systems. Oh no, that's 652. Specific excavation requirements. This is something we overlook. That 650, 1926, 651 are things like surface encumbrances and what they might be. Things like atmospheres, hazardous atmosphere, all the things that really don't get touched on. I would like for you to take a good look at that. It's not as jumbled up as the 652, which is the requirements for protective systems, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. As much as I can. Okay, so you can click these links. It's not doing it right now, and I don't know why. But I have the 651, I'm sorry, the 1926 652 pulled up in like a more of an edible. Uh, Holy cow, what have I done? Here's a quick way. Here it is. Okay, we're getting ready to get into tabulated data. I have some information yet to be posted about tabulated data. And the tabulated data uh, refers a lot of its stuff back to the rule itself. We also have consideration for appendices. Appendix A is you couldn't see them. I had them hidden while you were taking your test, but they're just stuck in the in in uh, in the in the course there until I get ready. But Appendix A will be the one that talks about classification of the soils. Uh, Appendix B is the appendix that talks about sloping, benching configurations. And then C is timber shoring, and I really don't want to get into that. Not that it's not still used, and it's really interesting, but it's just pretty complicated. A lot of different moving parts. Uh, but Appendix D will be emphasized. I hope to get into that a little bit because it talks about uh, vertical shores, aluminum hydraulic shoring, and we're going to spend some time in the, I'm hoping, in the in-person training actually installing vertical hydraulic shoring uh, at each campus. So far, so good. So what you see on the screen is what you mostly see on the screen now is, oh, I didn't want to do that. I don't like it when it does that. Is the rule, section 6, 1926 652, requirements for protective system. As you recall on the screen a while ago, I had 650, 651, and 52 up there. We're going to talk about protective systems today, and we're going to try to figure out where they're telling me to go if this don't work, and I think I got it figured out kind of good. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that understand how to interpret or read these OSHA rules. So uh, let's just see how well we do here. So this is paragraph A. I think that's a paragraph. It may not be, but it's the, let's just call it the topic, protection of employees in excavation. 1. Each employee in an excavation shall be protected from the cave-ins by an adequate protective system designed in accordance with paragraph B or C of the section, except when B and C are well hidden. Here is B. Let's go ahead and talk about it because it said in accordance with paragraphs B, R, C. Now, why they say R instead of and is B happens to be sloping and benching systems. So you might do that, or you might be down here in C. Oh, I hope I can find it. It took me forever. Not that C, but let's see. if we can find the C I'm looking for. Please tell me I highlighted it. Oh, here it is. So it's either the systems like shoring and shielding, or I mean, it's either the sloping, as in B up here. Let me here at B is design of sloping and benching systems. So this is talking about without those physical shoring system. This is either sloping or benches, and that's what this talks about in here. And we'll get back to that. So there's two things in this rule that we need to consider. One of them is design of sloping and benching. The other, once again, is this other C, which is here, design of support systems, shield systems, and other protective systems. And I don't want to go on any further than that right now, but those are the two things that's covered, basically covered in this 652 protective system. So let's go back to kind of the top where it says excavations are made entirely in stable rock. Those don't require protective systems. Uh, okay, it says each employee in an excavation shall be protected from cave-ins by an adequate protective system designed in accordance with paragraphs B or C. Now, we've talked about them, but we're going to talk about them individually. Of this section, except when you're working in solid rock, stable solid rock, or excavations are less than 5 feet in depth and have been looked at by a competent person. Examination of the ground by a competent person provides no indication of a potential cave-in. So if it meets either one of those two criteria, they're telling me we don't need protective systems, let's call them right now. So protective systems shall have the capacity to resist without failure. I'm thinking we're talking shoring right here, or trench box, but maybe not. You know, any protective system without failure, all loads that are intended or could reasonably be expected to be applied or transmitted to the system. What kind of loads are going to be transmitted to a shoring system with what's called fin board? You may not know what that is yet, but let's just say a trench box. We all know what that is. You're going to have pressure coming from the side, right? The weight is going to be distributed across the face of the outside of that trench box. So that trench box, not just the wall, but the cross members and everything, the calculations need to be considering those weights. And those weights and those forces are calculable. Not very good by me because it gets into physics. Chapter 2 will take you as deep as you want to go. I'm just not going there. I want to look at chapter 2 as not a last resort, but before we leave here. And feel free by all means to look in there. And there's a free body diagram that he talks about. I know a little bit about that, but that's what you use to determine forces. And see, we're talking static physics here, not dynamics. So these forces are just there. They're not like a car wreck usually, but mostly they're just static. So the force is just, let's look at it as pressure pushing against the outside wall of the trench. So go to that chapter 2 in your textbook. There's several talking about the guy, his name is Joe Turner, and he's like the czar of trenching and shoring equipment design. I don't think he's even active anymore. Maybe consultation, but it's written. The whole book's written by him that you're looking at. So he thinks that it's not that hard. And honestly, if we had time, we may uh, gone deeper into it. We may still yet take a little bit of look at what is it, the difference in shear tensile, and then when you have force from two ends of a beam, like the the cross members inside that shoring system are hydraulic cylinders in many cases. So that's got to be considered. How much, uh, what you need to prevent things from becoming dynamic is equal the forces, all forces when they're added together equal nothing. In other words, that means everything's going to be stable. So when you push on something, you're going to get resistance, either because it's not moving, or you don't have enough weight or force to move the wall. So there's resistance, that those forces, the forces pushing in from the soil and the force pushing back at that, have to be equal in order to be applicable or effective. That's a better word. So enough about physics for now. The design, this is the B. And up here, remember, B or C. These are two of the most important things and the most hard to find. So B is design of sloping and benching system. The slopes and configurations of sloping and benching systems shall be selected and constructed by the employer or his designee, and shall be in accordance with the requirements of paragraph B1 or paragraph B2 or paragraph B3. At least I know what a parenthesis B in number is. It's a paragraph. Paragraph B3 or B4. So now, this is what I've been able to figure out. This is paragraph B1 right here. They're calling it option 1. This is my thoughts, right? But let's read it and see. So allowable configuration, we're talking about slope and benching. Allowable configuration and slopes. Excavation shall be sloped at an angle not steeper than 1 1/2 horizontal to vertical. That's 1 1/2 to 1. That is the angle of what they used to call repose. That's the Class C soil angle. They say that's 34 degrees measured from the horizontal, unless the employer uses one of the other options listed below, like option 2, determination of slopes and configuration using appendices A and B. Now, what I say A is like, let's find out what kind of soil we got here, and B is uh, what kind of slope regarding what kind of soil. That'll be in that. If it's C soil, you need what? 1 1/2 to 1. If it's B soil, you need what? 1 to 1. You may recall those things. So those are all found in the appendices. So, yeah. Let's see, for type C, uh, soil in appendix B to the subpart. Let me read that, see what I got here. Allowable configurations and slope, that slope shall be sloped at an angle not steeper than 1 1/2 to 1, 34 degrees horizontal, unless the employer uses one of the other options. So if you're sloped 1 1/2 to 1, you're probably good, unless you want to do one of these options listed below. Uh, Now, I'm going to read this. I think they're talking down on, but let's slope specified in paragraph B1, which is right here, and I'm calling that B1. Of this section shall be excavated to form configurations that are in accordance with the slope shown for type C soil. That's where I got that 1 1/2 to 1 is type C soil. In appendix B to this subpart. We're in the subpart, that's P. So option 2 is determination of slopes and configurations by using appendices A, which is finding the soil types, B, that's the slopes and in relative to the soil type, determination of slopes and configuration using these two appendices. The maximum allowable slopes and allowable configuration for sloping and benching systems shall be determined in accordance with the conditions and requirements set forth in Appendix A, soil classification. So you got to find the class, you got to classify your soil, and then you look at what B tells you to use. That's what they're saying here, I believe. Okay, option 3, which is RB3, if you want to call it that, is designed using other tabulated data. So designs of sloping or benching systems shall be selected from and be in accordance with tabulated data such as tables and charts. The tabulated data, so the tabulated data would be something in a table format, such as if you got type B soil and your trench is this deep, you're going to need a slope of 1.5 to 1. I mean 1 to 1. That's a table, tabulated data. Identification of parameters that affect the selection of sloping, the selection of sloping or benching systems drawn from such data. Identification, now this is what we have in tabulated data. The identification of the limits of use of the data to include the magnitude and configuration of slopes determined to be safe. Explanatory information as may be necessary to aid the user in making a correct selection of protective system. Let me catch mine and your breath here. So there's going to be an article. It's not even an article. I think it's an explanation of what I just talked about, and it's written out real well, and it's forthcoming. I don't know if I have it accessible or not, but anyway, it will be up soon. And it kind of goes back and forth to referencing what I've just talked about in that table that we'll be putting up. And it has notes like C note 3, C note 4, and that'll be an exception, like if there's water and or seepage and things like that, you need to dewater it for. Those are the explanations, you know, and it'll have some be sure you do blah 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 and things. That's what they mean by the explanations. Let's move on. These are things that, see this little paragraph 2 here, the tabulated data shall be in written form and shall include all of the following. All of these things, and it should, you got at least one copy of the data which identifies the registered professional engineer who did this, who approved the data, shall be maintained at the job site during construction of the protective system. After that time, the data, after it's built, I guess, may be stored off the job site, but a copy of the data shall be made available to the secretary upon request. And the secretary they're talking about is the Secretary of Labor, the U.S. Secretary. But now, he or she's not going to come out to the job site. But if they want to see it, it needs to be sent to them or sent to the local OSHA office, or the OSHA inspector when he comes out would ask for it. So the option 4 after 3 is design using other than tabulated data. Option see now, where did I see 4? Oh, please don't let me get lost. Shall be written form shall include the following: identification of that, this, and that. And then we're at paragraph 3I, at least one copy, and then available to the secretary. Option 4. So that is Option 3 up here, designed using other tabulated data. Option 4 is designed by a registered professional engineer. The sloping and benching, the sloping and benching, uh, I'm not lost. I guess got to go C. Okay, we're still in B. Yeah, the sloping and benching. I'm, okay, give me a second here. That's the things that has to be in the tabulated data. That's option 2. Uh, Option 4 is designed by a registered engineer in the sloping and benching system. We're still under B. Uh, yeah, I mean, we're under C still. Uh, Sloping and benching system not utilizing. Okay, here's an option 4, designed by a registered professional engineer. The sloping and benching systems not utilizing option 1 or option 2 or option 3 under paragraph B, way back up there under this where sloping and benching started, of this section shall be approved by a registered professional engineer. In other words, they're just saying if you do slope or bench it, it's got to be approved by a professional engineer. And these designs shall be in written form, shall include at least the following: the magnitude of slopes, and the configuration and how it was determined, the identity of who did it, again, the registered engineer, and available to the secretary. Now, we've found C, which puts us into the physical, mechanical support systems other than sloping. These include shield systems and other protective systems. Designs of support systems, shield systems, and other protected systems shall be selected and constructed by the employer or his designee, that'd be the competent person, I assume, and shall be in accordance with the requirements of paragraph C1, right? So that are the alternative paragraph C2. And here we get again are in the alternative paragraph C3, are in the alternative paragraph C4. So here they are again. Let me see if we can find them. C1, C2, I'm saying 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are your all options. Designs using Appendix A, C, and D. And it talked about C2 of this section. And we're in that. Option 2, that's right here. Designs using manufacturer's tabulated data. Design of support system, shield system, and other protective systems that are drawn from manufacturers. The data from the manufacturer, the guys that made and gals that made the shoring, the company that made the shoring. And then it says deviations from the specification, recommendations, and limitations issued by and made by the manufacturer should only be allowed, in other words, to bend it, stretch it, change it, weld on it, cut it, shall only be allowed after the manufacturer issues specific written approval. In other words, whatever the manufacturer's data says, that's what you got to do. If it calls for a 3-inch cylinder and you only got a 2-inch cylinder, but if you put that 2-inch instead of a 3-inch and it caves in and kills somebody, you're going to jail. So it's got to be what they say. If you need to change it, you have to contact the manufacturer, and he's not going to change it if you forgot to bring the 3-inch cylinder. So bring it, but you can't make it. Manufacturer specification, recommendations, and limitations, and their approval to deviate from the specification recommendation shall be in written form at the job site during construction of that equipment. So you got to have those manufacturer tabulated data and instructions at the job site while you're installing the trenching and shoring system. Designs using other tabulated data. Designs of support systems, shield systems, and other protective systems shall be selected from and be in accordance with tabulated data such as tables and charts. That data shall be in written form and it should include the following. And then it talks about identification, explanatory, same thing over again. At least one copy available to the Secretary of Labor upon request. So option 4, this is either or stuff here we're talking about, is designed by a registered professional engineer, support system, shield system, and other protective systems not used in option 1, option 2, or option 3 shall be approved by a registered professional engineer. Be in written format and a plan indicating the sizes, shapes, types, configuration used in the protective system and the identity of who did it, and at least one copy available to the Secretary of Labor upon request. Okay, that's all you're going to get from me as far as going over this. I hope at the least I didn't make it more complicated than it is. And I hope that you understand we're really in this whole thing talking about two things: actual mechanical supporting systems, and that's under C, under the paragraph C, which is here's B, the sloping, and C is down here somewhere. I'm not going to look very far. Oh, here are the actual mechanical supporting systems. So this whole protective system is focused on like uh, shielding and shoring and or benching and sloping. And it has all these other alternatives, options, and things like that. I think I may have, if I haven't, I'll probably put a little test, and but I promise I won't make it. I really don't want you to memorize this. I didn't ever. Have I ever? I probably know more about how to read this dang thing now than I've ever done, ever had, because of getting ready to explain it. But anyway, uh, go back over it. Be prepared to take a test. It can't be very extensive, or difficult. There's only 3 pages to this thing. Now, let me see if I can find my way back. Oh, I think I can. Well, I need to do better than that. Let's see if I have things hidden somewhere. I'm going to, uh, let's see if I can take a shortcut. Okay, this is the beginning of week 6, and I'll stick this this video. Well, no use in telling you now. You'll know it when it gets here. Uh, this is your week 6. So look at this. Always. Well, that's not gonna. That's just. Why is that underlined? There's nothing in there. So the overview, that's what, isn't that where what did I put in there? Oh, it's just telling you what we'll be talking about this during this week. The things we talked about this one right here today. And I'm going to leave it up to you to get to the other two, and I'll show you how to do that while we're here. Just click here and you'll come up with the scope, application, and definitions. And this is one I really want you, these are specific things, like this talks about dewatering, and that, I'm kind of interested in that. I've never really had much exposure to where you had to install drains, and you had capillary water, and if we did, we dump it out with a backhoe or excavator bucket and move on, unfortunately. So the specific requirements are really something is the definitions is something you need to know. It'll help us as we move on. And we just went through this. Maybe this is all I'll make a test on. I might throw some definitions in there. I don't know. Other than that, I'll see you in in this week, in week 7. Good luck and have a good whatever's next is Saturday. So have a good week. Uh, 6.